Every object in the universe is moving, even the ones that seem completely still. A quiet leaf drifting through moonlight follows an orbit around Earth. Our world drifts around the sun, and the sun drifts around the galaxy in a journey so slow we can only feel it in imagination. Tonight, we will follow those soft paths, the gentle science of orbits, where motion becomes peace and every circle becomes a lullaby. Welcome to AstraFlow. Here, science drifts like starlight and curiosity becomes calm. Tonight, let your thoughts slow down, your breathing find its rhythm, and your mind float through wonder. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Are you lying in bed under the warm glow of a city window, or curled beneath blankets somewhere quiet, letting the night settle on your skin? Tell me in the comments. It's always peaceful to imagine the AstraFlow community scattered across the world, drifting together under the same sky. And if this calm journey brings you peace, you can gently support AstraFlow by liking this video or subscribing. It helps this little corner of the cosmos keep glowing. Now, let's begin tonight's voyage into the quiet story of how everything moves in space. We start with a single idea. Motion never truly stops. Even when your body rests deeply in bed, you're moving with the Earth as it turns. You're moving with the planet as it circles the sun. You're moving with the sun as it glides along a vast spiral arm of the Milky Way. And the galaxy itself drifts through a cosmic sea shaped by forces older than memory. Orbits are the harmonies behind these motions, gentle balances between falling inward and slipping forward. Nothing pulls too harshly, nothing escapes too fast. Each path is a compromise, a soft agreement between gravity and momentum. In that balance, the universe finds its calmest rhythms. Tonight, we follow those rhythms. We will drift from Earth to the moon, from the planets to the stars, from the sun to the galaxy, and then back to you, your breath, your body, your quiet place in this moving universe. Let the idea settle gently. You're part of cosmic motion, held by the same laws that guide every world and every star. As you listen, feel your thoughts drift like orbits, steady, slow, returning again and again to stillness. What does it mean to live inside a universe where nothing is ever still? It is a question older than astronomy, older than language, older even than the first humans who looked up and wondered why the moon returned to the same place night after night. When we gaze at the sky, everything appears frozen, like a painting stretched across a dark canvas. Yet this stillness is an illusion, a gentle disguise worn by motions so slow, so vast, that our brief human lives cannot easily sense them. If the stars are moving, why do they seem fixed? If the planets drift endlessly, why do they return to familiar places? If Earth is circling the sun, why do we feel no wind of our motion? These questions invite us into the heart of tonight's journey, because orbits are more than scientific paths. They are stories about balance, patience, and time. Each orbit is a conversation between motion and gravity, a quiet negotiation that repeats over ages far longer than our own breathing lives. Imagine lying on your back in a silent field. The sky above you feels calm and unmoving. But beneath that calm, the entire Earth is turning, carrying you eastward at nearly 500 kilometers per hour, and still you feel nothing. The motion is too smooth, too steady, too consistent to disturb your rest. This is the kindness of orbits. They move without turbulence, shaping our world with rhythms that soothe rather than startle. The universe is a tapestry woven from these silent circles. Planets follow them, moons follow them, stars follow them. Even galaxies curve along orbits inside larger cosmic structures we can barely imagine. And at the center of all this motion lies a simple truth. Movement is the natural state of the cosmos. Stillness is the illusion. But there is something comforting in this idea. If everything moves, gently, quietly, unceasingly, then we too are part of that flow. We're not separate from the drifting stars or the circling moons. We are carried by the same laws, guided by the same quiet geometry that shapes every world. Tonight, as we begin exploring orbits in all their forms, allow yourself to lean into that feeling, the feeling of belonging to motion. Let the question linger softly in your mind. If everything is always moving, what does it mean to find stillness within it? Just hold that thought lightly, like a small lantern guiding our path. We'll return to it later, near the end of our journey. An orbit, at its heart, is a relationship, a quiet balance between motion and gravity that allows objects to circle one another without ever colliding or drifting away. We often imagine orbits as perfect rings traced through empty space, but in truth they are more like gentle agreements, shaped by the past, evolving with time, and held together by the soft curves of space-time itself. Picture a small stone released near a planet. If it falls straight down, gravity wins. If it's thrown with enough sideways motion, it curves gently around the planet instead of crashing into it. That curve, that blend of falling and moving forward, becomes an orbit. Nothing magical, nothing forceful. Just balance. Just motion meeting gravity in the calmest way possible. In space, this simple dance happens everywhere. Electrons swirl around atomic nuclei. Moons drift around planets, planets circle around stars, and stars glide through their galaxies like glowing lanterns carried by invisible currents. The scale changes, but the principle stays the same. An object moves forward, gravity bends its path, and the result is a looping journey that can last for billions of years. Orbits aren't always circles, though. Most are ellipses, long, gentle ovals, shaped by ancient collisions, nearby stars, or the quiet pull of other planets. Some objects sweep close to their partner, then drift far away into the dark before circling back again, like slow-moving comets returning after lifetimes spent alone. And through all of this, the universe remains wonderfully calm. There is no noise in these motions, no friction in the vacuum of space, no turbulence unless something interrupts the balance. For most of cosmic history, objects simply glide. They move with a steadiness that feels almost like breathing, slow, repeating, endlessly patient. It is this repetition that allowed life to emerge on Earth. Because our orbit is stable, seasons follow one another with gentle rhythm. Because the moon's orbit repeats itself, tides rise and fall with ancient predictability. Because the sun circles the galaxy in a slow spiral, our planet travels through environments that change only over millions of years. And so tonight, as we drift deeper into the gentle science of orbits, hold this thought softly. Every world, every moon, every star follows a path shaped by balance. A balance so consistent and so ancient that it allows us to exist at all. Orbits are not just motions, they are the quiet architecture of the cosmos. Long before planets formed, long before stars ignited, the early universe was a quiet storm of drifting particles. Nothing had shape, nothing had structure, yet everything was already in motion. The moment space was born, motion was born with it. A gentle expansion carrying matter outward like dust in a slow, cosmic breath. In those first moments, there were no orbits, only drifting, only a soft spreading of hydrogen and helium diffusing through a newborn universe still warm from creation. But even in that simplicity, the seeds of orbit were already planted, because motion, once started, continues, and gravity, once present, waits patiently for the chance to gather things together. As the universe cooled, slight clumps of matter formed, tiny ripples in the cosmic sea. These over-dense pockets began tugging on nearby particles. One drifted closer, then another, until gravity slowly sculpted the first halos of material. These halos were not yet stars, not yet planets, but they were homes for future orbits. Particles circled around these growing centres of mass, creating the earliest hints of rotational motion. Imagine trillions of particles swirling so delicately that the motion would look motionless to human eyes. No bright glow, no solar warmth, just cold hydrogen drifting in slow spirals through expanding space. These spirals formed because gravity pulled inward, while momentum carried material sideways. The same balance that guides planets today was already whispering through darkness more than 13 billion years ago. Over millions of years, these spiraling clouds collapsed until pressure and heat ignited the first stars. Their birth transformed the universe from darkness into faint scattered specks of light, and around these first stars matter continued circling, dust, gas, fragments, beginning the long journey toward forming planets, moons, and everything that would someday orbit within peaceful, predictable patterns. When we study orbits today, we are looking at the echoes of those early motions. Every twist of Earth's path carries the memory of a particle that once drifted freely through the young cosmos. Every comet's long arc began as dust circling a star that was still learning how to shine. Motion has always been part of the universe's story, from chaos to structure, from drifting clouds to graceful, repeating loops. As you rest tonight, imagine that ancient swirl, the first motion, the first gathering, the first hint of orbits yet to come. A universe awakening one slow spiral at a time. Gravity is often described as a force, something that pulls objects toward one another. But in the calm language of the universe, gravity behaves less like a tugging hand and more like a gentle guide, a quiet shaping of space itself. Instead of yanking planets into motion, gravity creates curves, and objects simply follow those curves the way a leaf follows the contours of a slow-moving stream. Imagine space not as emptiness, but as a soft, flexible fabric. Whenever something with mass appears, a pebble, a planet, a star, the fabric bends around it. This bending is gravity, and anything moving nearby naturally drifts along the curve, just as a marble would roll toward the lowest point on a stretched sheet. There is no push, no pull, only guidance, only shape. This is why Earth circles the Sun, not because the Sun is pulling harshly on our world, but because space around the Sun is curved and Earth is simply following the easiest path. It is motion choosing the smoothest road. It is nature taking the gentlest route. Even the Moon drifting around Earth is not being yanked into place. It is gliding along a curve carved by Earth's presence, a looping path so stable that it has repeated itself for billions of years, and while it circles us, we circle the Sun, and the Sun circles the galaxy. Everything is following a curve shaped by something larger than itself. Picture these curves as waves frozen in slow motion, wide arcs, soft spirals, valleys of invisible geometry guiding worlds through silence. The beauty of this view is that it replaces force with flow. Gravity is not shouting across the cosmos, it is whispering. It is offering direction, not command. And every object, from the smallest grain of dust to the most massive star, listens in its own time. Einstein described this beautifully. Mass tells space how to curve, and space tells objects how to move. It sounds poetic because it is. The universe is full of relationships rather than instructions, balances rather than struggles. When you lie still tonight, remember that you too are in this gentle guidance. Your body is resting on a planet that follows the curve made by the Sun. Your home spins slowly through a geometry that existed long before human beings walked under its sky. You are carried effortlessly through a cosmic landscape shaped by invisible softness, and in that movement there is no urgency, there is no noise, only drifting, only flow. Gravity is the quiet hand that keeps everything balanced, a guide that never forces, only shapes. If gravity alone existed, everything would fall inward. Planets would plunge into their stars, moons into their planets, and the universe would collapse into clusters of stillness. But there is a second ingredient, one just as important, one just as gentle, and that is forward motion. When the forward motion of an object meets the inward curve of gravity, a delicate balance forms, and in that balance, an orbit is born. Imagine standing on a high cliff and throwing a small stone forward. If you toss it lightly, the stone arcs downward and hits the ground a short distance away. If you throw it harder, it travels farther before touching the earth. Now imagine throwing it so fast and so far that as it falls toward the ground, the curvature of the earth drops away at the same rate. The stone keeps falling, but never lands. It circles the earth instead. This is the essence of every orbit, falling without ever arriving. In space, objects do not hover. They are constantly in motion. A satellite circling Earth is not floating. It is falling around the planet, its forward speed perfectly matched to the curve of gravity pulling it inward. The same is true for the Moon, drifting steadily through a path shaped by billions of years of gentle adjustments. Even Earth follows this truth. We're always falling toward the Sun, but our sideways motion is so well balanced that we loop continuously around it. Our orbit is a graceful compromise between gravity's inward pull and motion's desire to continue straight ahead. Without one, the other could not create the rhythm that sustains our seasons, our climate, and life itself. This balance works at every scale. Atoms keep electrons drifting in probability clouds. Moons glide in patient loops. Planets sweep along ellipses. Stars revolve around the galaxy. Galaxies drift within clusters, shaped by dark matter's unseen presence. Forward motion is not a fight against gravity. It is a partnership, a quiet collaboration, a cosmic handshake. Think of it like a dance. Gravity provides the center, motion provides the spin. Together they create patterns that are stable, elegant, and endlessly repeating. The universe is full of these dances, each one shaped by the history of its formation, the collisions, the near misses, the slow accumulation of mass that carved its path. As you rest tonight, feel that same collaboration in your breathing. An inhale guided inward, an exhale drifting outward, a balance forming a gentle rhythm, your own orbit through sleep. You are part of a universe shaped by harmony, not struggle. And every motion, no matter how vast or small, is balanced by something soft and steady. When we imagine orbits, many of us picture perfect circles, smooth loops drawn with a compass against the quiet of space. But the universe rarely chooses perfection. Most orbits stretch gently into ellipses, long ovals shaped by ancient interactions, subtle nudges, and the memories of how systems first formed. These shapes tell a quiet story about the past, written not in words but in motion. A circular orbit requires a perfect balance, the exact sideways motion, the exact gravitational pull, and a history free of disturbances. But space is full of influences, drifting clouds of gas passing stars, neighbouring planets tugging softly at one another. These tiny interactions stretch circles into ellipses, not by breaking harmony, but by giving the motion its own unique character. In an elliptical orbit, a world moves closer to its partner at one point, then drifts farther away at another. When nearer, it speeds up slightly, responding to the stronger gravitational pull. When farther, it slows down, as if taking a breath before sweeping inward again. The result is a rhythm, fast, slow, that repeats endlessly, like a heartbeat written across millions of kilometres. You can see this in the planets of our own solar system. Earth's orbit is almost a circle, but not quite. Mars stretches a little more. Mercury, closest to the Sun, follows the most elongated path of all. A narrow ellipse that reflects the Sun's strong gravitational curve and the lingering imprint of early collisions. Even moons carry these asymmetries. Even asteroids glide through ellipses shaped by giants like Jupiter. Even comets trace dramatic paths, approaching the sun in a sudden bright rush before fading into the darkness of their distant reaches. And yet, despite these stretched shapes, there is still deep order. Ellipses are as stable as circles. They have predictable rhythms. They form the quiet architecture of planetary systems, allowing the universe to unfold with both variety and harmony. Imagine each ellipse as a soft loop drawn through darkness, unique but steady. Some wide, some narrow, some nearly circular, each one a signature of the forces that shaped it. These paths remind us that perfection is not necessary for stability. Even in irregularity there is calm. Even in asymmetry there is balance. As you settle deeper into rest tonight, let this idea drift gently through your thoughts. Your life too may not follow a perfect circle. It might stretch, widen, shift with time, but it can still be stable, still be meaningful, still follow a quiet, steady rhythm. The universe does not require perfect shapes, only balance. If you could pause the universe for a single moment and look at every world, every moon, every drifting stone, you would see one shared truth. Everything that stays in orbit does so because of balance, not strength, not force, just a quiet equilibrium between motion and gravity, held steady across unimaginable distances. An object in orbit is always falling, but always missing. It falls toward the body that attracts it, yet its forward motion carries it far enough sideways that it never reaches the surface. This gentle mismatch is the secret behind every orbit, from the moon's ancient path around Earth to the silent sweep of space stations circling above our heads. Think of a satellite. It is launched upward, but not high enough to escape gravity completely. Instead, it moves fast enough that as Earth curves beneath it, the satellite continuously falls around the planet rather than back toward it. If its speed slows too much, it spirals downward. If it moves too quickly, it drifts outward. But when the balance is perfect, it stays in orbit, quiet, stable, repeating the same soft loop again and again. The moon behaves the same way, though on a grander scale. For billions of years, its sideways motion has matched Earth's curved gravity so precisely that its orbit endures with only the slightest, slowest changes. It drifts a little farther away each year, a few centimeters, as tidal interactions gently reshape the balance. Yet the core relationship remains: motion forward, gravity inward, harmony maintained. This balance holds true for planets as well. Earth circles the sun because its speed and the sun's gravitational curve align perfectly. Jupiter's moons follow paths sculpted by the gas giant's immense mass. Even distant objects in the outer solar system, icy worlds barely touched by sunlight, remain bound to the sun's subtle pull. And because the vacuum of space provides no friction to slow them down, these motions can last for billions of years. No air resistance, no ground to collide with, no wind, no drag, just endless forward motion guided by gravity's invisible hand. Imagine these orbits as threads in a vast cosmic tapestry. Each thread loops around another, binding systems together with gentle geometry. Some loops are wide and slow, some are tight and quick, but all are connected, forming a quiet architecture that keeps planets warm, moons steady and worlds illuminated. As you drift into deeper rest tonight, feel that same balance echo inside you, something drawing you inward. Comfort, warmth, breath. Something carrying you forward. Imagination, curiosity, wonder. Two motions finding equilibrium, just like an orbit. You are held by balance too. If you step outside on a quiet night and look up, the moon seems like a companion who never rushes. It rises slowly, crosses the sky with steady grace and slips away into dawn. But beneath that calm appearance lies a journey both ancient and endlessly unfolding, a patient orbit that has shaped Earth's tides, seasons, and even the rhythm of life itself. The Moon's path around Earth is not hurried. It takes nearly 27 days to complete one full loop, drifting through space at a pace that feels almost meditative. Its orbit is slightly elliptical, which means it moves a little faster when close to Earth and slows gently as it drifts away. This soft variation gives its motion a heartbeat-like quality, a natural ebb and flow written across the sky. Long ago, the Moon lived much closer to Earth. 4 billion years earlier, it would have loomed enormous in our planet's sky, its motion quicker, its gravitational pull stronger. Over time, Earth's rotation and the Moon's orbit became linked in a delicate dance. Tides raised by the Moon tug gently on Earth, slowing its spin, and in return the Moon receives a small push, drifting ever so gradually outward. Even now, it moves away at the pace of a fingernail's growth, a few centimetres each year. This drift is almost imperceptible, yet it reminds us of how patient cosmic motion can be. Nothing in the heavens is fixed. Everything evolves slowly, like a long breath that unfolds over ages. As the Moon circles Earth, it pulls on our oceans, creating tides that move in quiet waves across the globe. These tides have shaped coastlines, nurtured early life, and guided countless species, from the rhythms of coral spawning to the migrations of ancient fish. All of it linked to a world drifting through a silent orbit above us. And then there is its light, not its own, but Earth's gift returned to us. As the Moon travels along its orbit, the angle of sunlight that reaches it changes, creating phases, crescents, halves, full moons. This sequence repeats endlessly, a cycle humans have watched for tens of thousands of years, using it to mark time, guide harvests, and anchor rituals beneath the stars. Imagine the Moon now as you rest, a quiet traveller, circling slowly, always returning, always steady, a companion whose motion asks for nothing and rushes nowhere. Its orbit is a reminder that some things move not by force, but by patience. Tonight, let its rhythm echo inside you, a slow loop, a gentle drift, a path that finds its way back again and again. Earth's orbit around the Sun is one of the most quietly important motions in the universe, not because it is dramatic or unusual or complex, but because its gentle steadiness has allowed life to unfold in harmony for billions of years. Without this delicate path, the seasons would not arrive in their familiar rhythm, temperatures would not hold within a comfortable range, and our world would be unrecognisable. Earth travels around the Sun at nearly 30 kilometres per second, yet we feel none of this speed. The motion is smooth, balanced, and constant, like gliding across calm water without a ripple. Every moment of your life has been spent riding this orbit, carried around the Sun again and again, completing a journey of 940 million kilometres each year. And yet, this vast motion never feels rushed. Instead, it expresses itself quietly through the seasons. Because Earth's orbit is slightly elliptical, it comes a little closer to the Sun in January and drifts a little farther in July. But this variation is subtle, not enough to cause dramatic changes in temperature. The seasons come not from distance, but from tilt. As Earth moves along its path, its axis leans gently, allowing sunlight to fall at changing angles across the planet. This creates winter's soft dimming, spring's long awakening, summer's bright fullness, and autumn's slow fading. The orbit sets the stage, and the tilt provides the choreography. Imagine Earth as a dancer moving in a gentle circle, one shoulder dipping toward the Sun, then away, then toward once more. The rhythm never breaks, the pattern never wavers, year after year. The orbit carries life through cycles of growth, rest, renewal, and change. This delicate path is so stable that ancient astronomers could predict the sky with remarkable accuracy. Civilizations built calendars, aligned temples with solstices, and planted crops based on Earth's place in its orbit. Without realizing it, they were listening to the quiet heartbeat of our planet's motion. And through all of this, the sun remains the steady center, not pulling Earth like a rope, but shaping space in a way that guides our world effortlessly. Earth's forward motion and the sun's gravitational curve align with exquisite precision, forming an orbit that has endured for unimaginable spans of time. As you lie here tonight, remember that you are drifting through space on this same path. Every night of rest, every sunrise, every turning season is part of a journey you have always been on. You move with Earth, carried in a circle of warmth and light that repeats with comforting predictability. Let that thought soften your breath. You are part of a stable rhythm, a gentle orbit, a story as old as the sun. It's easy to imagine the sun as a still point, the warm centre around which planets quietly revolve. But the sun itself is not standing still. It is a traveller too, drifting through the Milky Way in a wide ancient orbit that takes hundreds of millions of years to complete. While Earth circles the sun once a year, the sun circles the galaxy once every 230 million years, a single galactic loop for the entire history of dinosaurs, mammals, oceans, forests, and human life. Imagine that scale for a moment. Everything we know, every civilization, every sunrise, every moment, has unfolded during a tiny fraction of one solar orbit. We are passengers on a star that is still early in its journey around the galaxy, moving at roughly 220 kilometers per second, faster than any spacecraft ever built, yet so steady that we never feel the motion. The sun does not orbit the galaxy in a perfect circle. Its path is slightly wavy, drifting up and down through the galactic plane while moving forward along a vast spiral arm. The motion is gentle, like a long tide rising and falling across tens of millions of years, and as the sun drifts, it carries the entire solar system with it: planets, moons, asteroids, comets, and you. The galaxy itself provides the gravitational field that shapes this orbit. Its stars, gas clouds, and mysterious dark matter create a curve in space-time deep enough to guide the sun along its immense path. Our star is simply following that quiet curve, just as Earth follows the sun's and the moon follows Earth's. Orbits nested within orbits, a cosmic geometry repeating across scales. As the sun drifts, it moves through different regions of the Milky Way, areas with dense star formation, quiet interstellar clouds, and stretches of almost pure emptiness. Over millions of years, these environments subtly influence the solar system, shaping comet paths, affecting cosmic radiation levels, and perhaps gently guiding long-term cycles on Earth. And yet, through all this drifting, the sun remains steady for us. It burns with constant brightness. It anchors our seasons. It warms our days. Its orbit is so grand and so slow that we experience it not as motion, but as background, the deep tide beneath all of life's smaller rhythms. As you rest tonight, imagine this hidden journey, our entire world carried around the galaxy, our sun gliding through starlit currents, our solar system drifting like a small boat on a vast ancient sea. You have always been travelling with the sun, even in your stillest moments. A quiet passenger in a motion far older than memory, part of a journey that will continue long after tonight's dreams. When we look at the night sky, each star appears anchored in place, glowing softly in its appointed position. But beneath that illusion of stillness, stars are moving, all of them, drifting through the Milky Way in grand, looping orbits shaped by gravity and time. The galaxy is not a static picture. It is a river of light, and every star is carried along in its slow, patient current. Imagine standing beside a quiet stream. At first glance, the water seems motionless. Only when you look closely do you notice the subtle drift, a leaf gliding past, a shimmer on the surface, a ripple tracing a path across the stones. The Milky Way is much the same. Its motions unfold so slowly that human lifetimes are too short to see changes, yet over millions of years stars flow in graceful patterns. Most stars, including our Sun, follow broad orbits around the galactic centre. But these orbits are not simple circles. They wobble, they oscillate, they shift gently up and down like boats rising and falling on a long, quiet swell. These vertical motions carry stars above the galactic plane and then back through it, completing a full oscillation perhaps every 60 million years. Some regions of the galaxy drift faster, others more slowly, creating streams of stars that move together like schools of cosmic fish. These are called stellar associations or moving groups, families of stars born together, still sharing the same direction even after drifting apart over vast distances. They trace long, winding paths, leaving faint trails in the galactic flow. There are also stars that travel on unusual routes, elongated loops, tilted arcs, or paths inherited from long ago collisions with smaller galaxies that merged into the Milky Way. These stars carry the memory of ancient encounters, their orbits quietly telling stories of past galactic mergers and forgotten cosmic events. All of this motion is choreographed by gravity on a massive scale. Dark matter, though invisible, forms a halo around the galaxy and provides the majority of the gravitational pull that guides these stellar currents. It shapes the Milky Way's rotation, ensuring that stars far from the centre still move quickly enough to remain bound in orbit. As you lie here tonight, imagine the galaxy not as a fixed map, but as a living, drifting structure. Hundreds of billions of stars, each following its own path. Some close to the core, swirling rapidly. Some farther out, moving in long, slow arcs, all connected by the same gravitational tapestry. And you, resting quietly, are part of that motion. You drift with the sun, which drifts with its neighbours, which drift with the galaxy itself. Even in stillness, you belong to a river of stars flowing gently through time. Beyond the familiar boundary of our solar system lies a vast expanse filled with countless other worlds, planets orbiting stars we can barely see, drifting in rhythms shaped by suns far older, younger, larger or smaller than our own. These are the exoplanets, quiet travellers circling distant stars in patterns that remind us how universal the language of orbits truly is. The first exoplanets were discovered only a few decades ago, yet today we know of thousands, and each new world reveals something extraordinary. Orbit is a cosmic habit. Whether a star burns hot and blue or dim and red, whether it lives for millions of years or trillions, it gathers worlds into motion. Planets form from the dust and gas swirling around young stars, then settle into paths defined by gravity's steady curves. But these paths are far more varied than the orbits in our own solar system. Some planets cling so tightly to their stars that a single year lasts only a day or two. These hot Jupiters are giant worlds whipping around their suns in blistering, rapid loops. Their orbits are so close that their atmospheres stretch and glow under intense heat, forming tails like comets. Others drift so distantly that they circle their stars only once every 1,000 Earth years, moving in slow arcs through frigid darkness. Some follow elongated ellipses, swinging close enough to warm their surfaces briefly before retreating into deep cold. Some orbit binary stars, weaving stable paths around two suns that rise and set together. There are planets with tilted orbits, planets orbiting backward compared to their star's rotation, and planets whose paths are shaped by the presence of unseen companions, perhaps small moons, perhaps wandering giants. Every discovery reveals a new expression of the same underlying truth. Gravity and motion always find balance, and where there are orbits, there is rhythm. Warm seasons, cold seasons, long nights, long years. Each exoplanet has its own quiet calendar. Even on worlds where no life exists, these patterns unfold with gentle consistency, forming the architecture of time. Imagine standing on one of these distant planets, watching its star trace a slow or rapid arc across an unfamiliar sky. The colours might be different: red suns casting copper light, blue suns bathing landscapes in silver. But the feeling would be the same, a sense of being carried around something steady, anchored by a path older than memory. As you relax into the quiet of the night, remember that orbits are not unique to Earth, or even to our Sun. They're everywhere. They thread the galaxy together, forming loops of motion around every star, binding worlds into systems and systems into a cosmic web. Motion is universal. Balance is universal. And even on worlds we've never seen, the language of orbit whispers the same gentle truths. Orbits may appear eternal, repeating the same soft loops again and again, but in truth, no orbit is completely unchanging. Over long stretches of time, tiny forces tug gently at planets and moons, reshaping their paths with the patience of drifting tides. These interactions are subtle, so subtle that centuries pass before they leave a noticeable mark, yet they slowly guide the evolution of entire worlds. The most familiar example is right above us, the relationship between Earth and the Moon. As the Moon's gravity pulls on Earth's oceans, it creates tides that rise and fall in a rhythm older than life on land. But those tides do something in return. They create friction inside Earth's spinning body, slowing its rotation ever so slightly. And as Earth slows, a whisper of energy transfers to the Moon, nudging it outward. This is why the Moon gradually drifts away, widening its orbit by a few centimeters each year. This slow exchange is called tidal interaction, a conversation between bodies connected by gravity. Neither force dominates, neither body resists. They simply trade energy gently, adjusting their motions in a way that maintains balance. Over billions of years, these tiny nudges accumulate, altering orbits in ways that shape climates, days, and tides. Tidal forces also act on moons around other planets. Jupiter's moon, Io, is pulled so strongly by Jupiter and its neighbouring moons that its interior flexes like dough, generating heat that fuels constant volcanic eruptions. Saturn's moon, Enceladus, is also tugged and stretched, warming its interior enough to maintain a vast ocean beneath its icy surface, an ocean that might even harbour life. In other cases, tidal friction slows moons until they always show the same face toward their planets, a state known as tidal locking. This is why we only ever see one side of the Moon. Many moons in the solar system share this fate, turning their orbits into partnerships of synchronized motion. Even planets experience tidal shaping. Some exoplanets orbit so close to their stars that they stretch into slightly elongated shapes, deformed by the intense pull. Their days grow shorter, their rotations lock, and their climates settle into strange permanent patterns, one side locked in constant daylight, the other in endless night. Through all of these interactions, the theme is the same. Change comes slowly. Gravity nudges, friction whispers, and time patiently accumulates their effects. No orbit is fixed forever. Everything drifts, adjusts, and reaches for new balance. As you rest tonight, consider how gentle forces shape your own life. Small habits, quiet moments, soft influences that guide you little by little, year after year. Orbits remind us that transformation does not need to be abrupt. It can be slow, steady, and beautifully patient. Everything moves. Everything evolves. Even in stillness, change is quietly unfolding. Not all stars shine alone. In fact, many, perhaps most, live their entire lives paired with another star, bound in a quiet gravitational partnership that lasts billions of years. These binary systems drift through the galaxy together, each star pulling on the other, each shaping the curve of space the other must follow. Their orbits are not the orbit of one object circling a dominant partner, but a mutual dance. Two lights moving gracefully around a shared centre of gravity. Imagine two fireflies circling slowly in the dark, each aware of the other's presence, each adjusting its path to maintain the rhythm. That is how binary stars move. Their shared centre, called the barycenter, may lie deep inside one of the stars or floating in the empty space between them, depending on their masses. But wherever it lies, both stars orbit it together, neither fully leading nor following. Some binaries are close, separated by just a few stellar diameters. These pairs orbit one another rapidly, their light blending into a single point when seen from far away. Others are distant companions, drifting so far apart that one orbit can take centuries or millennia to complete. Some pairs are nearly identical in size. Some combine giants with dwarves. Some are trios or quartets, complex gravitational families moving in layered, interconnected loops. Their orbits reveal much about their history. A tight orbit might mean the stars formed close together or drifted inward over time. A wide, slow orbit suggests a peaceful past free from violent encounters. And when one star evolves faster than the other, swelling into a red giant or collapsing into a white dwarf, the orbit shifts, stretched or tightened by the changing mass. In rare, dramatic cases, a star can even transfer material to its partner, forming streams of gas that arc between them like luminous bridges. But even these interactions unfold in silence, guided by gravity's gentle geometry. What makes binary stars so fascinating is not merely their motion, but their harmony. Two stars, each burning with its own internal fire, manage to share a balanced path through space. They respond to one another's gravity with elegance rather than conflict, tracing loops that repeat over ages longer than human civilizations. As you lie here tonight, imagine watching such a pair from afar. Two suns rising and setting in tandem, their light blooming and fading across an alien horizon. The sky would hold two centres of warmth, two anchors of time, two hearts in the same celestial rhythm. Binary stars remind us that companionship itself can be an orbit. Two lives, two lights, finding balance not through stillness but through shared motion. Some travellers in the solar system do not follow the steady, predictable loops of planets or moons. Instead, they drift on long, lonely paths that stretch deep into the darkness, disappearing for centuries before returning in a sudden burst of glory. These are comets, icy wanderers shaped by some of the most dramatic orbits in nature. A comet begins far from the sun, in a region so cold and distant that sunlight is little more than a whisper. Here, frozen minerals and ancient ices form small, fragile worlds, preserved from the earliest days of the solar system. They drift in silence, barely moving, waiting for a gravitational nudge, perhaps from a passing star, a distant planet, or the subtle pull of the galaxy itself. When that nudge arrives, the comet's orbit changes, stretched into a long ellipse that carries it inward toward the sun. At first, nothing happens. The comet is still cold, still dark, still silent. But as it approaches the inner solar system, sunlight begins to warm its surface. Ice turns to vapor, releasing dust that has been untouched for billions of years. A glowing tail emerges, streaming behind the comet like a faint, shimmering breath. To us on Earth, this moment is astonishing. A speck of ice suddenly becomes a luminous traveller, sailing across the night sky with a tail millions of kilometres long. But this beauty is temporary. The comet does not stay. Its orbit carries it past the sun, where it arcs around in a brief, brilliant sweep before being flung back into the cold again. Some comets return every few decades. Halley's Comet, for example, arrives roughly every 76 years, reappearing like an old friend who visits once in a lifetime. Others take thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of years to complete one orbit. They may return so slowly that no human being will ever see the same comet reappear twice, and some will never return at all. A close pass with a planet or a small change in speed can distort a comet's orbit into an open curve, sending it drifting out of the solar system forever. A traveller who came once flashed brightly for a moment, and then dissolved into the vastness. Despite their fragility, comets are storytellers. Their icy cores preserve material from the birth of the solar system, older than any mountain or ocean on Earth. Every time a comet approaches the Sun, it brings with it a piece of ancient time, a memory carved in ice. As you rest tonight, imagine following a comet on its long, sweeping arc. Years of darkness, moments of brilliance, a path so stretched that it resembles a deep breath drawn in slowly, released over millennia. Even the briefest glow has a long story behind it, and even a lonely orbit can be full of meaning. Between the familiar planets of the solar system lies a realm that often goes unnoticed, a vast collection of rocky fragments, quiet wanderers shaped by the same forces that guide worlds and moons. These asteroids, scattered through belts and clusters, drift in orbits that reveal the solar system's history with surprising clarity. They are not chaotic debris. They are survivors of an ancient story. Most asteroids reside in the main belt, a broad region between Mars and Jupiter. Here, millions of rocky bodies orbit the Sun in gentle patterns, each moving at its own pace, each following a trajectory carved by gravity's subtle hand. Their orbits are not perfectly circular, but they remain remarkably stable, preserved by the delicate balance between the Sun's pull and Jupiter's immense influence. Jupiter plays a quiet but powerful role here. Its gravity acts like a sculptor, clearing certain regions while allowing others to remain peaceful. Where its pull resonates with an asteroid's orbit, gaps appear, empty slices in the belt known as Kirkwood gaps. These gaps aren't accidents. They are the result of tiny gravitational nudges repeating again and again, slowly shifting asteroids away from unstable paths. The result is a belt that looks chaotic but is actually harmonious. Some asteroids drift alone, spinning slowly as they orbit the Sun every few years. Others travel in small families, fragments from past collisions, sharing similar orbits as if remembering the moment they were once a single world. A few even follow what seem like unusual paths. Trojans, which orbit alongside Jupiter, balanced in gravitational pockets ahead of and behind the giant planet. Near-Earth asteroids, which drift close to our planet, shaped by sunlight, heat, and gentle gravitational encounters. These subtle influences include something surprisingly delicate, the Yarkovsky effect, a tiny push created when an asteroid absorbs sunlight and re-emits that heat outward. Over millions of years, this faint thermal whisper can shift an asteroid's orbit by thousands of kilometers, proof that even light itself can guide a world's motion. Asteroids remind us that not all orbits belong to grand, glowing bodies. Some belong to fragments no larger than mountains or boulders or even pebbles. Yet each one follows a path shaped by balance, resonant patterns, and ancient history. If you imagine the solar system from above, a vast clockwork of motion, the asteroid belt becomes a soft ring of drifting sparks. Not disorderly, not dangerous, but quietly orbiting, each piece a memory of the early solar system when planets were still forming and collisions were common. As you drift toward rest tonight, think of these small wanderers circling the Sun, silent stones tracing patient loops, each one shaped by nudges too subtle to feel, each one following a path that has existed for billions of years. Even the smallest traveller has its orbit. Even the quietest fragment moves with purpose. In the vast geometry of space, most objects move in constant negotiation with gravity and forward motion. But there are rare places where this negotiation settles into perfect stillness, points where the gravitational pull of two bodies balances so precisely that a third object can remain suspended in place. These peaceful regions are called Lagrange points, and they are among the calmest harbours in the celestial sea. Imagine Earth and the Sun as two dancers moving in a slow circle around their shared centre. Their gravitational pulls stretch across space like overlapping ripples on water. Where these ripples meet just right, small pockets of stability form. An object placed there does not need to orbit on its own. It simply drifts with the dancers, held in a quiet equilibrium. There are 5 such points in every two-body system like Earth-Sun or Earth-Moon. L1, where an object can float between Earth and the Sun, sharing their year-long rhythm. L2, slightly beyond Earth, a calm vantage point facing away from the Sun. L3, on the far side of the Sun, invisible to us, yet mathematically serene. And L4 and L5, triangular points forming stable pockets where objects tend to gather naturally. These are not orbits in the usual sense. They are more like resting places, places where gravity and motion cancel into a soft neutrality. An object here is not pulled inward or pushed outward. Instead, it moves gently with the Earth, carried along in the same cosmic flow without needing its own circular speed. Some of these points, especially L4 and L5, act like quiet gravitational bowls. Objects that drift into them tend to stay, oscillating in small loops but never drifting far. Jupiter's L4 and L5 points are famously home to the Trojan asteroids, vast clusters of rocks that have remained in stable pockets for billions of years. Human technology has also found refuge in these calm islands. The James Webb Space Telescope rests near Earth's L2 point, taking advantage of the stability and constant shadow from Earth to observe the universe with unmatched clarity. Other spacecraft use L1 and L2 to monitor the Sun, or study Earth's climate from a steady, unbroken vantage. What makes Lagrange points so beautiful is not their rarity, but their symbolism. They show us that even in a universe defined by motion, there are places of balance, places where forces align perfectly, where drifting becomes resting, where complexity yields to simplicity. As you breathe slowly tonight, imagine floating at one of these points, a pocket of stillness carried effortlessly around the Sun, a place where nothing pulls too hard and nothing drifts away. Balance is not the absence of motion, it is the harmony within it. When astronauts float inside the International Space Station, drifting gracefully from wall to wall, it looks as if gravity has vanished. Pens float. Water forms shimmering spheres. Bodies glide without effort, but gravity has not disappeared at all. The station, and everyone inside it, is in a constant state of free fall, moving around Earth so smoothly that the fall feels like weightlessness. This sensation is called microgravity, and it is one of the quietest illusions created by motion. To understand it, imagine riding an elevator whose cables suddenly snap. For the brief moment before you hit the ground, you would feel weightless. Not because gravity turned off, but because you and the elevator are falling together. In orbit, the same principle applies, but the fall never ends. The space station circles Earth at about 28,000 kilometers per hour. At that speed, as it falls toward Earth, the planet curves away beneath it at precisely the same rate. The station is always falling, but always missing, and so the astronauts inside fall as well, gliding with the station in perpetual freefall. This shared motion creates the feeling of floating. Inside the station, water dances into spheres because no force is pushing it downward. A small push sends an astronaut drifting across the cabin for meters, moving until they gently catch a handrail. Objects stay exactly where they're left, suspended in the air as though frozen in a dream. But the truth is deeper and more beautiful. All of them are orbiting Earth together, held by gravity's soft guidance. Even the Moon experiences this same state, forever falling around Earth, following a curved path so vast we barely sense the pull. And Earth, in turn, is falling around the Sun. The Sun around the centre of the galaxy. Everything, from planets to pebbles to space stations, experiences orbit not as floating, but as continuous falling shaped into harmony by motion. In microgravity, science becomes poetic. Flames form perfect blue spheres instead of dancing upward. Plants grow in spirals, reaching in all directions at once. Crystals assemble with extraordinary precision, free from the downward stress of weight. Human bodies, relieved of constant pressure, stretch slightly taller, their spines uncompressed. And yet, astronauts speak of something even more profound. A sense of drifting not just physically, but mentally, drifting in perspective. Looking down at Earth, spinning silently below, they see the thinness of the atmosphere, the softness of clouds, the borders that vanish from view. The orbit becomes a place where motion reveals unity. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself in that same quiet drift, your body floating gently in a small cabin, Earth turning beneath you like a glowing lantern, no up, no down, only motion and breath. Weightlessness is not the absence of gravity. It is the feeling of moving perfectly with it. High above the surface of Earth, hundreds of satellites drift in quiet arcs, each one following a carefully chosen orbit designed to serve a particular purpose. Some circle close, sweeping across the sky in quick intervals. Others hang far away, moving so slowly that they seem almost still. Together, they create an invisible network around our planet, a soft lattice of motion that supports modern life. The variety of satellite paths begins with altitude. Low Earth orbit, or LEO, lies just a few hundred kilometers above the surface. Satellites here move swiftly, completing a full loop around Earth in about 90 minutes. From the ground, they appear as brief, bright streaks gliding through the night. These orbits are ideal for observing the planet, monitoring weather patterns, studying forests and oceans, supporting communication, and even connecting remote communities. Their closeness provides detail, but this same closeness means they must move quickly, never lingering over one location. Farther away lies Medium Earth Orbit, or MEO. Here move the satellites that enable the global positioning system, the quiet navigators that help ships steer, planes travel safely, and smartphones know where they stand. These satellites drift more slowly than those in LEO, circling the planet roughly every 12 hours. Their altitude offers a balance between coverage and stability, allowing them to maintain precise timing that our world has come to depend on. And then, much higher still, at nearly 36,000 kilometers above Earth, lies Geosynchronous Orbit, or GEO. A satellite placed here takes exactly 1 day to orbit Earth. Because Earth rotates in the same period, a geosatellite appears to hover over a single point on the equator. It is not truly still. It circles just as surely as anything in space, but its motion matches ours so perfectly that it feels motionless. This special orbit supports weather forecasting, broadcasting, and telecommunications. From GEO, a single satellite can watch half the world, tracing the slow spirals of storms, relaying signals across oceans, and maintaining connections that feel instant and effortless. Some satellites follow even more unique paths. Molniya orbits, highly elliptical and inclined, linger for hours above high-latitude regions where GEO signals fall short. Sun-synchronous orbits ensure a satellite passes over each point on Earth at the same local time, ideal for scientific observation. Each orbit is chosen with intention, shaped by the interplay of gravity, forward motion, and the needs of the mission. From Earth, we rarely see the choreography above us, yet every message we send, every map we open, every storm we prepare for is tied to these silent motions. As you drift into rest tonight, imagine these satellites circling far above, small companions tracing predictable loops, each one contributing quietly to the flow of human life, each moving in harmony with Earth's gentle path, invisible but essential, distant but steady. Another layer of orbit shaping our world. Far above the clouds, circling Earth in a silent loop every 90 minutes, the International Space Station drifts through darkness and sunlight in equal measure. It is one of the most remarkable orbits ever achieved, not because of its speed or height, but because it carries human presence in a continuous path around our world. A home that never rests on land, always moving, always falling, always floating. At roughly 400 kilometers above Earth, the station occupies low Earth orbit, a region where the balance between forward motion and gravity is delicate and precise. Its speed, about 28,000 kilometers per hour, ensures that every time it falls toward Earth, the planet curves away beneath it. The orbit becomes a circular glide, repeated again and again with unwavering smoothness. Inside this drifting laboratory, astronauts live in perpetual motion. They witness 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets each day, the horizon glowing gold, then violet, then fading into deep night as Earth spins beneath them. The changing light is not gradual, as it is on the ground. It arrives suddenly, washing the cabin in brightness or plunging it into shadow in moments. The circular drift of the station creates a unique environment for science. Without the downward pull of gravity, experiments behave in ways impossible on Earth. Flames form spherical shapes, fluids flow without settling, crystals grow with extraordinary purity, human bodies adapt in fascinating ways, bones lose density, muscles shift, eyesight changes slightly, and even the sense of balance adjusts to a world with no up or down. And yet, life aboard the station is calm. Every motion is slow. Every movement is deliberate. Objects float until gently redirected, drifting like leaves carried by a soft current. The station's orbit also gives astronauts a view of Earth that few will ever experience. From their window, continents, oceans and cities pass by in long sweeping arcs. Thunderstorms flash like distant fireworks. Mountain ranges stretch like ridges carved into a blue marble. At night, human lights shimmer in delicate webs, outlining coastlines and valleys with quiet beauty. This perspective fosters a deep sense of connection. Borders disappear. Countries blur into colours and textures. Earth becomes a single, fragile oasis travelling through darkness. A world held together by the same forces that guide the station's orbit. And while the International Space Station is the most famous example, it is not alone. Other stations, past and future, follow similar circular drifts, each demonstrating how humans can inhabit the space between worlds. As you settle into rest tonight, imagine yourself inside such a drifting home, floating gently, watching Earth revolve below, feeling the soft hum of motion, a place where stillness and movement coexist, where every orbit is a reminder of the balance that sustains us. In the quiet of that circular drift, peace becomes almost effortless. Every orbit in the universe is a balance, gravity pulling inward, motion carrying outward. But what happens when motion becomes strong enough to break that balance? When an object moves so quickly that gravity can no longer bend its path into a curve? This threshold is known as escape velocity, and it marks the point where motion quietly overcomes the pull of a world. Escape velocity sounds dramatic, but in truth it is simply a measure of energy. To escape Earth's gravity from the surface, an object must reach about 11.2 kilometers per second, a speed far beyond anything we experience in daily life. But the idea behind it is gentle and beautiful. If something moves fast enough, gravity's curve flattens into a straight line, and the object drifts away forever, never returning to orbit. Think of a ball tossed into the air. If thrown lightly, it rises and falls. If thrown harder, it rises higher before falling again. And if you could throw it with enough speed, the magic 11.2 kilometers per second, it would never fall back. It would arc into space, leaving Earth's embrace completely. Spacecraft use this principle all the time. Rockets don't leap into orbit in a single burst. They climb gradually, gaining speed through stages until forward motion becomes strong enough to balance gravity. If they accelerate even more, surpassing escape velocity, they slip free and enter interplanetary space. This is how missions travel to the Moon, Mars, and beyond, not by fighting gravity but by outrunning its ability to turn their motion into a curve. Escape velocity is different on every world. The Moon's weaker gravity requires only about 2.4 kilometers per second to escape. Jupiter, massive and dense, demands over 59 kilometers per second. A black hole, with gravity so intense that space-time collapses inward, has an escape velocity greater than the speed of light, which is why nothing, not even photons, can leave its surface. But escape is not always final. Sometimes an object approaches a world with just the right speed to be captured into a new orbit. Other times, a passing comet or asteroid gains speed from a gravitational slingshot, receiving a boost that sends it drifting more quickly than before. Space is full of these exchanges. Energy passed like whispers, changing the fate of wandering bodies. In a quiet way, escape velocity symbolizes transformation. The moment when a path changes direction. The instant when a bound object becomes a traveller. The point where the familiar loop gives way to an open journey. As you breathe tonight, imagine that threshold within yourself. Times when you circle familiar patterns, and moments when a small burst of energy sends you into new territory, free and drifting toward possibility. Even in the cosmos, escape is not an act of violence. It is simply motion reaching a new harmony. Just as a body can escape a world's gravity, it can also be caught by it, gently, subtly, almost accidentally. This phenomenon, known as gravitational capture, happens when a wandering object passes near a planet or moon and loses enough energy to be drawn into a new orbit. Instead of continuing on its original path, it settles into a loop, becoming a permanent companion. Capture is not a sudden snare. It is more like a slow embrace. A passing asteroid, comet, or small moon drifts close enough that gravity pulls it inward. If its speed and angle are just right, it doesn't crash or escape. It simply falls into a stable orbit. One of the most famous examples is Triton, Neptune's largest moon. Unlike most moons, which form from the same disk of material as their planets, Triton was once a wandering object, possibly the member of a binary pair drifting through the outer solar system. At some point in deep time, Neptune's gravity caught Triton, pulling it into an orbit that is unusual in every way. It moves backward, opposite the direction Neptune rotates, and its tilt hints at a long, complex past. This capture changed Neptune's system dramatically. Triton's irregular orbit created tidal forces that warmed its interior, producing geysers of nitrogen that erupt into space. Its presence altered the paths of smaller moons, scattering or absorbing many of them over billions of years. One captured wanderer reshaped an entire planetary family. Capture can also occur through gravitational interactions between multiple bodies. A comet passing near a planet may lose energy through a gravitational dance, exchanging momentum in a way that traps it in orbit. Mars's moon, Phobos, may have been captured long ago, drawn inward by Mars's gravity until it now orbits so closely that it will eventually break apart, forming a ring. Even spacecraft experience capture. When missions approach other planets, they often rely on controlled deceleration or gravitational assists so the planet's gravity can hold them. Without this alignment of motion and timing, the craft would simply fly past, continuing its solitary journey. What makes capture so beautiful is its gentleness. It does not come from force or collision, but from alignment, a perfect combination of speed, angle, and timing that creates a new relationship between two bodies. A moment when a traveller becomes a partner. As you settle into rest tonight, consider how this mirrors moments in life. Sometimes you drift freely, sometimes you break away from old paths, and sometimes, unexpectedly, you find yourself drawn into a new orbit, a place of belonging, influence, or connection you didn't plan for. Capture is the universe's quiet reminder that even wandering things can find a home. No orbit, no matter how stable, exists in perfect isolation. Every planet, moon, asteroid, and comet feels the faint whispers of nearby bodies, tiny gravitational tugs that slowly reshape their paths over thousands or millions of years. These gentle influences are called perturbations, and they are the universe's quiet way of reminding us that everything is connected, even across vast distances. Perturbation is not a forceful shove. It is a nudge, often so small that a single orbit barely changes. But over time, these nudges accumulate, altering the size, shape, and tilt of an orbit in ways that become noticeable only across long stretches of cosmic time. Imagine a planet orbiting its star in a smooth ellipse. Along comes a nearby giant planet. It doesn't collide, doesn't disrupt directly, it simply tugs. A tiny pull inward here, a faint outward nudge there. The orbit shifts slightly. The ellipse becomes a little more stretched, or a little more circular. Perhaps the planet's tilt adjusts by a fraction of a degree. For a single year, nothing seems different. But over 1 million years, the path may drift significantly. A slow evolution driven by subtle, gravitational conversations between worlds. Perturbations shape our own solar system in countless ways. Jupiter, the massive guardian of the solar system, nudges comets and asteroids constantly. Some are pushed into safer, wide orbits. Others are redirected toward the inner planets. Still others are captured, becoming long-term residents in resonant paths. Even Earth feels gentle influences. The gravitational pull of the Moon, Jupiter, and other planets gradually adjusts our orbit and axial tilt in cycles called Milankovitch cycles, patterns that subtly affect Earth's climate over tens of thousands of years. Ice ages, warm periods, and shifts in weather patterns are all tied to these long, slow perturbations. On smaller scales, sunlight itself becomes a kind of whisper. As asteroids absorb light and re-emit heat, the radiation creates a tiny push, the Yarkovsky effect. This minuscule force can shift an asteroid's orbit significantly over millions of years, demonstrating that even photons can act as gentle nudges in the cosmic dance. Perturbations can even lead to moments of dramatic change. A small nudge may push a moon into a new resonant pattern. A drifting asteroid may cross into a gap where gravitational forces amplify, sending it into a new trajectory. A passing star near the solar system could one day alter the distant Oort cloud, sending icy bodies inward in slow waves. Yet through all these possibilities, the overall harmony remains. The solar system is resilient, flexible, and always adjusting, never rigid, always flowing. As you rest tonight, think of your own life's path, how small influences, quiet moments, or gentle words can shift your direction over time. These tiny perturbations do not disrupt who you are, they simply reshape your orbit, guiding you toward new seasons, new experiences, new balances. Nothing moves alone, everything nudges everything else, and in those nudges the universe creates its everlasting motion. In the quiet geometry of space, some orbits begin to echo one another. Two bodies, or three, or sometimes many more, fall into repeating rhythms, patterns where their orbital periods lock into simple numerical relationships. These are known as orbital resonances, and they transform the solar system into something like a vast, silent symphony, where each world keeps time with its neighbours. A resonance occurs when one object completes its orbit in a whole number ratio with another. For example, if one moon orbits its planet twice in the time another completes a single loop, they are said to be in a 2.1 resonance. This matching rhythm means their gravitational tugs align regularly, reinforcing one another like synchronized waves. One of the most elegant examples lies around Jupiter. 3 of its large moons, Io, Europa and Ganymede, form a resonant chain that repeats endlessly. Io orbits Jupiter 4 times, Europa orbits twice, Ganymede orbits once. Every time they line up, their gravitational pulls create gentle patterns that maintain the structure of their orbits. The resonance keeps Io volcanically active, Europa's ocean warm beneath its icy crust, and Ganymede's motion stable over billions of years. Resonances are the universe's way of creating order out of interaction. Instead of causing chaos, repeated gravitational nudges settle into harmony. They prevent collisions, limit drift, and preserve predictable rhythms across unimaginable spans of time. Saturn's rings are also filled with resonances. Tiny gaps within the rings, such as the famous Cassini division, appear where Saturn's moons pull regularly on the ring particles, sweeping them away from certain orbits. The result is a delicate sculpted structure, grooves and bands shaped by repeating celestial music. Even planets resonate. Pluto and Neptune exist in a stable 3.2 resonance. For every 3 orbits Pluto makes around the Sun, Neptune makes 2. Because of this balance, Pluto never comes dangerously close to Neptune, even though their paths overlap. The rhythm protects them, like dancers whose steps align perfectly so they never collide. Resonances can also create excitement in the cosmos. Asteroids in the main belt feel Jupiter's repeating tugs, which open gaps and push objects into new paths. These repeated nudges, though gentle, can eventually send an asteroid on a much different journey, sometimes inward toward Earth, other times outward into deeper space. What makes resonances so poetic is the way they turn motion into pattern, not just movement, but choreography, not just orbit, but song. As you drift into deeper rest tonight, imagine the solar system as an orchestra of worlds, each following its own loop, yet aligning in subtle, repeating pulses. The rhythm is ancient, patient, and soft enough to lull entire planets into harmony. Your own life has resonances too, habits, relationships, thoughts that repeat gently, shaping your path without force. The universe moves in music, and in your quiet moments you can feel that rhythm. For all their elegance and stability, orbits are not eternal. They depend on a delicate balance, a curve in space-time, a steady forward motion, a peaceful exchange of gravitational influence. But when that balance shifts even slightly, an orbit can stretch, wobble, tilt, or in rare cases, break entirely. These moments of change are not always violent. Sometimes they unfold slowly, almost imperceptibly, like a long exhale from the cosmos. Imagine a small moon circling a planet. For millions of years, its path is steady. Then a larger moon drifts near, or a passing comet nudges the system, or the planet itself loses or gains mass through volcanic activity or atmospheric escape. The moon's orbit shifts, its ellipse lengthens or shrinks, its tilt changes, its rhythm evolves. Nothing dramatic happens in a single day, but over ages the path settles into a new pattern, a new balance. In more extreme cases, the change is sudden. 2 asteroids collide, breaking into fragments that scatter outward. A comet passes too close to a giant planet and is torn apart by tidal forces. A star nearing the end of its life swells into a red giant, its gravity weakening as its outer layers drift into space. When mass moves, gravity follows, and the orbits around it adjust. One of the most profound examples occurs when a star dies. A supernova explosion ejects enormous amounts of mass in an instant. Planets that once orbited steadily may find their central anchor suddenly weakened. Some spiral inward, some drift outward, some achieve escape velocity and wander into interstellar space, becoming orphaned planets, worlds without suns, drifting alone through darkness. Even at smaller scales, broken orbits shape the solar system's history. Scientists believe Earth once had multiple moons long ago. Through gravitational interactions, those moons may have collided or merged, leaving behind the single companion we know today. Mars's moon Phobos is spiraling inward due to tidal forces and will eventually break apart, forming a temporary ring that will glow faintly in the Martian sky. Yet even in these transformations, the universe remains gentle in its own way. Change does not always mean chaos. A broken orbit is not an ending, but a transition, the moment when a path gives way to a new one, shaped by fresh balances and evolving forces. Sometimes the new orbit is wider, giving the world more freedom. Sometimes it is tighter, drawing it closer to its central body. Sometimes it leads a moon to become a ring, or an asteroid to become a comet, or a planet to become a traveller between stars. As you lie here tonight, breathing softly, consider how this mirrors your own life. Paths change, centres shift, old orbits dissolve, and new ones appear. Balance is found again and again, not by resisting change, but by flowing with it. Even in the cosmos, nothing stays the same, yet everything continues to move in harmony. Light is often imagined as something perfectly straight, a beam that travels forward without bending, without slowing, without hesitation. And in the emptiness of ordinary space, that is true. But when light passes near something massive, its path curves. The presence of gravity reshapes the very fabric of space, guiding even photons into gentle arcs. In extreme cases, light can orbit a massive object, tracing loops of radiance around darkness itself. This phenomenon begins with curved space-time. Everything with mass bends space, planets, stars, galaxies. The greater the mass, the deeper the curve. When light moves through these curves, it follows the natural shape of space-time, just as a river follows its banks. It is not pulled or forced, it simply glides along the geometry, around extremely massive objects, neutron stars, dense clusters of matter, and especially black holes. These curves become profound. A black hole, with gravity so intense that nothing can escape from within its event horizon, bends space into shapes difficult to imagine. At a specific distance from a black hole, there exists a region known as the photon sphere, a place where light itself can orbit. Here, a beam of light would loop endlessly around the black hole, trapped not by force, but by the pure curvature of space-time. The orbit is unstable. The slightest disturbance sends the light spiraling inward or escaping outward. But for a moment, a fragile, extraordinary moment, a photon can become a traveller on an orbital path. We see hints of this in images of black holes. The glowing ring surrounding their dark core is created by light that has been bent, twisted, and delayed as it tries to escape the extreme gravity. Some photons make partial loops. Others swing around the black hole multiple times before reaching distant observers. The result is a halo, a portrait carved from the bending of light. Even less extreme objects can bend light. When a star passes behind another star or a galaxy cluster, the foreground mass acts like a lens, magnifying and distorting the background light. This is called gravitational lensing, and it is one of the universe's quietest wonders, a natural telescope, created not with glass but with gravity. Through these bends, light reveals things we could never see otherwise: distant galaxies, faint stars, or even the presence of dark matter. Gravity, invisible yet omnipresent, guides photons as softly as it guides planets. As you drift toward rest tonight, imagine a beam of light curving gently around a massive object, completing a fragile loop before continuing its journey. Even something as swift and weightless as light can be guided, shaped, given an orbit, however brief. It is a reminder that nothing moves untouched by the universe's geometry, not worlds, not stars, not even light. And in every curve there is beauty. Even in your quietest moments, lying still in bed, breathing slowly, eyes closed against the softness of night, you're moving through the universe in more ways than you can feel. Stillness is a sensation, not a reality. Motion surrounds you, carries you, includes you. And recognizing this can be unexpectedly comforting, as if the universe is gently holding you in its flow. Right now, without effort, your body is traveling thousands of kilometers every hour as Earth turns on its axis. You do not sense this rotation. It is too smooth, too constant, as gentle as a cradle swaying slowly in the dark. Yet it is happening, a continuous motion that brings day and night, sunrise and sunset, light and rest. At the same time, Earth carries you around the Sun, completing a loop of nearly 1 billion kilometers each year. This motion is vast, elegant, and absolutely silent. Every season you experience, every warming spring, every cooling autumn is written by this graceful orbital path. And still, the layers continue. The Sun itself pulls you along as it orbits the center of the Milky Way. Every beat of your heart happens while you drift through interstellar space at more than 200 kilometers per second. Entire civilizations rise and fall, entire species bloom and disappear, while our solar system completes only a small fraction of its galactic circle. Even the galaxy moves, drawn toward clusters drifting through cosmic filaments, following the large-scale currents of the universe. These are motions so grand and slow that they escape comprehension, yet you ride them just as surely as you ride Earth's rotation. You're never motionless. You're a passenger on multiple orbits nested inside one another, each unfolding in quiet harmony. And somehow, within all this drifting, your body finds stillness, your breath settles, your mind softens. A paradox that is not really a paradox at all, because stillness does not require the absence of motion, it only asks for balance. When you rest, you surrender to these motions. You join them rather than resist them. You allow the world to carry you in circles older than memory. And here is the beautiful part. Motion does not disturb your peace. It creates it. The steady spin of Earth regulates time. The orbit around the Sun shapes seasons. The sun's drift through the galaxy forms the long, slow backdrop of cosmic history. Every one of these motions supports the possibility of life, thought, sleep, and dreaming. So tonight, as you breathe gently, imagine all the layers of movement that hold you, not rushing, not chaotic, but rhythmic, like tides you do not feel, guiding you through the universe with patient grace. You are part of cosmic motion, and that motion is part of your calm. In a universe filled with motion, it is remarkable how much of that motion can be predicted. Planets return to the same positions, moons repeat their cycles, comets trace long arcs, vanish into darkness, and eventually reappear right on schedule. There is a kind of poetry in this, a rhythm so steady that it becomes a language, a pattern of movement that reveals the quiet reliability of nature. Predictability might seem like a technical idea, something belonging to charts and calculations, but at its heart, it is profoundly soothing. To know that Earth will orbit the Sun again, that the Moon will wax and wane in its familiar sequence, that day will follow night without fail. These certainties form an invisible architecture supporting our lives. Because orbits repeat, ancient cultures could build calendars, plant crops, celebrate seasons, and align their temples with solstices and equinoxes. Because the motions of the heavens unfold with gentle consistency, sailors could navigate oceans by starlight. Because gravity shapes every path with patient precision, modern scientists can send spacecraft across the solar system, aiming them toward worlds billions of kilometers away, and they arrive exactly where expected. It is not rigidity that creates this predictability. It is balance. Gravity and motion hold each other in a quiet embrace, and the result is a repeating pattern that endures through time. Imagine the soundtrack of the solar system: Earth circling the Sun once every year, the Moon completing its orbit every 27 days, Jupiter sweeping majestically around the Sun every 12 years, Pluto's distant loop taking nearly 250 Earth years to finish. Each of these motions is a verse in the poem of the cosmos, unfolding with deliberate gentleness. Nothing hurries, nothing hesitates, everything repeats with calm intention. Even the smallest bodies, asteroids, icy fragments, specks of dust, follow predictable paths unless disturbed. Their loops, though tiny compared to the planets, still echo the same rhythm, a balance between forward motion and gravity, repeated with patient consistency. And yet, within this predictability there is room for variation. Orbits shift slowly, tides reshape paths, perturbations nudge worlds into new rhythms. But the overarching structure remains, a universe that flows according to laws both elegant and reliable. This dependability offers something deeply human, a sense of trust, a reminder that amidst chaos or uncertainty, there are forces that do not falter. The sun will rise tomorrow, the planets will continue their ancient dance, the stars will drift through their slow galactic arcs. As you breathe tonight, let that sense of cosmic reliability settle into your thoughts. You do not need to control everything. You do not need to predict your entire life. The universe already holds a rhythm steady enough to guide planets, gentle enough to soothe a restless mind. There is poetry in knowing that some things simply endure. Every orbit carries a story. A planet's path remembers how it formed, what nudged it, what shaped it. A comet's long ellipse remembers the moment it was thrown outward into cold darkness. A moon's tilt remembers the collisions, captures, and gentle exchanges that set it in motion. In this way, orbits act like a kind of cosmic memory, not written in words but in curves carved through space. When we observe a world's orbit, we're not just seeing where it is, we're seeing everything that happened to it. An orbit is a history book written in distance, speed, resonance, and tilt. Consider Earth. Its nearly circular path tells us that its birth was relatively peaceful, shaped by gradual accretion rather than violent ejection. This slight elongation of its orbit hints at interactions with other early planets. The tilt of its axis speaks of a colossal collision in deep time, the one that likely created the Moon. All of these events left imprints, and those imprints remain encoded in Earth's motion today. The asteroid belt is another example of memory preserved in orbit. Its scattered, irregular structure tells a story of a planet that never formed, a region where Jupiter's gravity prevented material from coalescing into a world. Each asteroid's orbit carries clues about early turbulence, collisions, and the quiet sculpting of gravitational resonance. Comets too, remember. Their long, stretched orbits reveal where they came from, the distant Oort cloud or the Kuiper belt, and how they were nudged inward by passing stars or slow gravitational shifts. The length of their orbit tells us whether they return often or vanish into the deep for thousands of years before reappearing like a memory resurfacing unexpectedly. Even galaxies possess orbital memory. Stars born together in clusters drift apart over time, but retain shared velocities, moving like faded members of a family spread across cosmic distances. Their motions reveal ancient starbirths, tidal interactions with neighbouring galaxies, and even the presence of dark matter shaping their paths. When astronomers trace these orbits backward using mathematics, they can reconstruct events from billions of years ago. Like following the arc of a thrown stone to understand the force that launched it, Following an orbit allows us to understand the universe that shaped it. What's profound is that orbits change slowly, preserving their stories across time. Unlike fragile objects that decay or vanish, an orbit can survive for billions of years, holding the memory of ancient interactions long after the bodies involved have cooled, collided, or drifted away. As you soften into rest tonight, imagine these orbits as loops of memory, quiet trails left by worlds, each curve telling a story held long after the moment has passed. Your life has such loops as well, paths shaped by early experiences, gentle nudges, sudden turns, and long repeating cycles. Memory is not always something we consciously recall. Sometimes it is simply the shape of our motion. When we imagine motion, we often imagine sound, the rush of wind, the rumble of engines, the whisper of something passing nearby. But in the vastness of space, motion unfolds in perfect silence. Worlds move at tremendous speeds, stars drift for millions of years, galaxies swirl in colossal spirals, yet no sound accompanies their journeys. The universe is full of motion, but it is a motion wrapped in quiet. This silence is not emptiness. It is simply the nature of space itself. Sound needs air or water or solid matter to travel through, something for vibrations to ripple across. But space offers none of these. It is too thin, too empty, too vast. A planet could rush past at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour and make no noise at all. A comet could sweep its glowing tail across millions of kilometers without a single sound. Even stars exploding in distant galaxies, catastrophes of unimaginable energy, do so in utter silence. In this quiet motion becomes something other than what we know on Earth. It becomes graceful, unhurried, almost serene. Imagine a spacecraft drifting through deep space. Its engines have long gone silent, its trajectory set by a past push of momentum. It moves steadily, neither slowed by air resistance nor pulled off course by friction. Its path is defined only by gravity and the impulse that set it free. Inside, every movement floats. Outside, the stars do not shimmer with sound. The universe simply watches, and the craft continues its slow, eternal glide. Planets and moons experience the same stillness. Earth moves at incredible speed around the sun, yet the orbit is soundless. The moon circles Earth, raising tides and guiding night skies in complete quiet. Even the Milky Way, rotating with hundreds of billions of stars, does so without a whisper. This silence does not diminish the energy of the cosmos. It reveals it in another way. Instead of hearing motion, we see it. We feel it in patterns. We witness it in repeating shadows, shifting seasons, and the rhythmic passing of celestial bodies. Silence becomes a kind of canvas on which motion paints. And this cosmic quiet mirrors something human. When you rest, when your thoughts soften, when your breath slows, your inner world also moves in silence. Memories drift, feelings circle, ideas orbit gently without clamour. Stillness becomes deeper not because everything stops, but because motion becomes soft, almost imperceptible. Tonight, as you lie in bed, imagine drifting through that silent space. No noise of engines, no rush of wind, only gentle movement, only stars gliding past in calm arcs. The silence of deep space is not loneliness, it is peace, the purest form of motion. Life, in all its forms, emerges not only from chemistry or sunlight or water, but from stability, the quiet reliability of orbits that provide steady seasons, predictable days, and a calm cosmic environment. Without stable paths, life as we know it would struggle to flourish. The universe may be vast, but life blooms in places where motion settles into gentle, repeating rhythms. Earth's orbit is one of the most profound foundations of our existence. Its nearly circular path ensures that the distance to the Sun varies only slightly through the year. This steadiness prevents extreme temperature swings that could freeze or scorch the planet. Instead, we receive a balanced flow of energy, enough to warm oceans, drive weather, and sustain ecosystems across continents. Our planet's axial tilt combined with its orbit creates the rhythm of seasons: spring's unfolding, summer's warmth, autumn's fading light, winter's quiet. All of it arises from Earth's predictable path around the Sun. These cycles shape migration patterns, plant growth, ocean currents, and even the timing of human activity. Life adapts to these rhythms, growing in harmony with the steady motion above. The Moon's orbit plays its own role. Its gravitational pull raises tides that stir the oceans, mixing nutrients and supporting the earliest forms of marine life. The Moon stabilizes Earth's tilt as well, keeping our seasons mild over millions of years. Without it, Earth's axis might wobble wildly, swinging climates into chaos and making long-term stability unlikely. Even the Sun's orbit around the galaxy contributes to life's possibility. Our solar system drifts through relatively calm neighborhoods of the Milky Way, far from regions filled with dangerous radiation or frequent supernova. This peaceful galactic orbit protects Earth, giving life the long, uninterrupted time it needs to grow, evolve, and diversify. In other star systems, stable orbits may shape worlds we have yet to discover. Planets with consistent paths could harbour oceans, atmospheres, and climates gentle enough to support life. Meanwhile, planets with wild, elongated orbits, plunging close to their star then drifting far away, may face extremes too harsh for life. Stability becomes the quiet cradle that shelters possibility. What's beautiful is how delicate this balance is. A slight shift in Earth's orbit could alter climates dramatically. A missing moon could destabilize the planet's tilt. A different path through the galaxy could expose us to harmful radiation. Yet here we are, in a rare, harmonious configuration that has persisted for billions of years. As you breathe tonight, let this idea settle softly. Your existence is intertwined with the motions of worlds, moons, and stars. You're alive because countless orbits hold steady, repeating their ancient rhythms with gentle precision. Life depends on stability, and stability arises from motion in harmony. For all their elegance, orbits are delicate. They can endure for millions or billions of years, repeating the same quiet loops with poetic consistency, yet they remain sensitive to the smallest changes. A slight shift in energy, a gentle nudge from a neighbouring world, even the faint pressure of sunlight can tilt an orbit, stretch it, or slowly reshape it across deep time. This fragility forms one of the most beautiful paradoxes in the universe: stability built upon subtlety. Consider Earth's orbit. Its near-circular path is stable, but not unchanging. Gravitational influences from Jupiter and other planets tug at Earth in long, slow cycles. These tiny perturbations cause slight variations in the shape of our orbit, our axial tilt, and the timing of seasons. Over tens of thousands of years, these shifts contribute to patterns of ice ages and warm periods, changes that shape life on the planet's surface. The Moon's orbit is fragile too. Each year it drifts a little farther away. This change is small, only a few centimetres annually, yet across millions of years it alters tides, rotation rates, and even the length of Earth's day, a slow unfolding of motion that quietly redefines the world. In the asteroid belt, small nudges from Jupiter gradually push some asteroids into new trajectories. A fraction of a millimetre per second over centuries can redirect a rock millions of kilometres, all because an orbit, no matter how steady, responds to every influence, no matter how faint. Even at cosmic scales, the theme repeats. Galaxies collide and merge, their stars flung into new paths shaped by tidal forces. Binary stars spiral closer together or drift apart. Planets migrate over time, shifting inward or outward as gravitational interactions accumulate. Nothing is rigid. Nothing is completely immune to influence. This fragility is not a flaw. It is the universe's way of evolving, adjusting, adapting, flowing. Without it, the cosmos would be static and lifeless. Stars would not migrate within galaxies. Moons would not stabilize planets. Comets would not wander inward, delivering water and organic compounds to young worlds like Earth. And just as orbits are sensitive to subtle changes, so are we. A single conversation, a small act of kindness, a moment of clarity. These can shift the path of a life as gently and profoundly as a gravitational nudge alters the course of a world. We adapt, we drift, we find new rhythms. Our balance is fragile yet capable of remarkable resilience. Tonight, as you rest, imagine the universe as a tapestry woven from delicate motions. Each strand responds to another. Each orbit adjusts in harmony with countless others. Fragility does not weaken the pattern, it enriches it, allowing movement, transformation, and rebirth. In the stillness of your breath, feel that truth. Balance is not the absence of change, but the skill of flowing with it. When we look at the motions of planets, moons, and stars, it is easy to imagine them as distant, mechanical, purely mathematical, and yet, the more closely we observe their rhythms, the more they resemble something profoundly human. Our emotions, our habits, our relationships, these too move in patterns. They drift, return, stretch, tighten, wobble, and stabilize, much like the orbits that shape the cosmos. We circle around the people we care about, drawn by gravity that isn't physical but emotional. We drift away when life pulls us outward, and we return when connection pulls us back in. We find ourselves in repeating loops, familiar thoughts, recurring memories, comforting routines, just as moons repeat their ancient paths around their planets. Some relationships are like circular orbits, steady, predictable, nourishing in their simplicity. Others are more elliptical, close at times, distant at others, shaped by seasons of life or changing energy. The beauty is that both can be stable, both can be meaningful. The universe does not demand perfect symmetry, and neither do human hearts. There are moments in life that feel like perturbations, small nudges that shift our path in ways we do not recognize until much later. A chance conversation, a sudden insight, the quiet influence of someone we admire. These gentle forces alter our trajectory just as gravity alters the motion of a wandering planet. Sometimes the change is slight, sometimes it is transformative. There are also moments of resonance, when two people fall into rhythm together, their emotional cycles aligning like celestial bodies in a shared harmonic motion. These resonances can be grounding, energizing, or beautifully calming. They create stability where chaos once lived, synchronizing the motion of two lives. And then there are escapes, times when we outgrow a situation or break free from a pattern that once held us. Not through force, but through reaching a threshold of energy or insight. We depart old orbits and drift into new ones, forming paths shaped by growth rather than gravity. Even capture exists in human experience. We encounter someone or something unexpectedly, and suddenly we're drawn in, swept into a new orbit we never planned. It may be love, passion, curiosity, or a calling that emerges without warning. Like celestial bodies caught by gravity, we find ourselves entering a new phase of motion, subtly but undeniably altered. All of this mirrors the cosmos because we are part of the cosmos. The same laws that shape planetary motion also guide the flow of energy within us, not literally but metaphorically, rhythmically, poetically. We are not separate from the universe's patterns, we reflect them. As you rest tonight, let this thought soften your heart. Your emotions have orbits too. Your connections drift and return. Your life moves through cycles, some wide, some tight, all part of a greater harmony. You are a traveller. Just like the worlds above you, moving, adjusting, finding balance again and again. If you could step back far enough, far beyond the solar system, far beyond the Milky Way, far beyond the clusters and filaments that lace the cosmos, you would see the universe not as a collection of isolated objects, but as a vast interconnected web of motion. Every star, every planet, every drifting particle follows a path shaped by the gravity of everything around it. Nothing moves alone. Nothing exists in perfect isolation. The universe is a grand choreography, and each motion influences countless others. Galaxies are not static islands of stars. They swirl like whirlpools, their spiral arms twisting gracefully over billions of years. Clusters of galaxies orbit one another, drawn together by dark matter's unseen gravity. Superclusters form threads, long cosmic filaments that stretch across unimaginable distances, and along these threads, galaxies migrate slowly, like lanterns drifting along a river. Zoom in closer, and the pattern repeats. Stars orbit within galaxies, planets orbit stars, moons orbit planets, rings orbit gas giants, asteroids orbit in belts and families, comets trace vast ellipses across the solar system, every orbit nested inside another, forming a hierarchy of motion, and even smaller scales follow the same principle. Electrons drift around atomic nuclei, particles vibrate with rhythmic energy, molecules dance in constant motion. Your body, every cell, every atom, every strand of DNA, participates in this eternal movement, all of it connected, all of it flowing. Even light, the universe's fastest traveller, bends its path in response to gravity. Photons curve around stars, swirl near black holes, and stretch across expanding space. Their motion is influenced by the structure of the cosmos, and in turn, they reveal that structure to us through their gentle shifts and distortions. This web of motion is not chaotic, it is profoundly orderly, governed by simple principles that unfold into infinite complexity. A star forming in one corner of the galaxy sends ripples of gravity outward. A planet shifting its orbit subtly changes the equilibrium of its neighbours. A passing dwarf galaxy can reshape spiral arms, distort stellar streams, and alter the paths of thousands of stars. Your own path is part of this cosmic network. Where you're standing right now, where you go tomorrow, where you rest tonight, all of it is carried by Earth's orbit. The sun's drift, the Milky Way's flow. You're connected to distant galaxies not by sight alone, but by shared motion, shared physics, shared origins. In a universe woven from movement, stillness is never absolute. But peace is. Peace comes from recognizing that you are supported by the same graceful patterns that guide the stars. Patterns older than time, steady as gravity, soft as a breath in the dark. As you breathe tonight, imagine yourself suspended in this cosmic web, gently drifting, gently held, a single luminous point in an endless flowing tapestry. Motion is universal, connection is universal, and you belong to all of it. At the beginning of this journey, we asked a simple question. What does it mean for everything to move, even when the sky feels still? Now, after drifting through the orbits of moons and planets, the drifting of stars, the swirling of galaxies, and even the curves of light itself, we arrive again at that quiet wonder, but with gentler eyes. When you look at the night sky, the stars seem frozen. The moon appears to hang in place. Earth feels unmoving beneath your feet, yet now you know, this stillness is an illusion shaped by scale. Everything is moving, not wildly, not chaotically, but rhythmically, patiently, in harmony with forces that have guided the universe since its earliest moments. You're standing on a planet spinning through space. That planet orbits the sun orbits the galaxy drifts along vast cosmic currents, and even those currents flow through structures larger than imagination, all of it in motion, all of it unfolding in perfect quiet balance. And yet, all of this movement brings not agitation, but calm. The moon's orbit steadies Earth's seasons. Earth's orbit steadies life's rhythms. The sun's galactic path offers stability across billions of years. The cosmic web itself balances gravitational forces that guide the evolution of galaxies and stars. Motion, rather than disrupting order, creates it. Returning to our first question, we see that stillness and movement are not opposites. You can feel still even as you travel thousands of kilometers every hour. You can rest while Earth turns beneath you. You can sleep while the galaxy carries you through space. Stillness is not the absence of motion. Stillness is harmony with motion. It is the sense that nothing is pulling you out of balance, that every force acting on you is gentle, that every path you follow is smooth and steady. This is the gift of orbits, a reminder that equilibrium comes not from stopping, but from flowing in the right rhythm. Tonight, as you settle deeper into rest, remember the truth hidden in the cosmos. Movement does not disturb your peace. It creates the conditions for it. You're floating within a universe that has learned, across billions of years, how to balance motion into stability, resonance into order, rhythm into calm. You are part of that balance, shaped by it, carried by it, comforted by it. So when you look at the night sky again, perhaps tomorrow or another quiet evening, you may feel something different. A soft knowing, a gentle reassurance, a sense that beneath the stillness you perceive, a deeper harmony is always at work. Everything is in motion, and that motion holds you. There is a quiet comfort in knowing where you're going, not in the sense of destiny or rigid direction, but in recognizing the gentle, repeating path that carries you through space. Earth's orbit is not a mystery. It follows the same soft ellipse each year, returning to familiar places around the sun. The predictability of this path gives structure to time itself, to seasons, to life cycles, to the slow unfolding of history. This is the beauty of orbits. They offer stability without stillness, direction without pressure, and motion without confusion. As Earth drifts along its ancient path, everything on its surface benefits from this reliable motion. The tilt of our planet stays steady enough to allow spring to bloom each year. The distance from the sun remains stable enough to keep oceans liquid. The gravitational interplay with the moon keeps our planet's orientation calm and our tides rhythmic. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels forced. In the same way, your own life contains orbits, patterns that guide you gently, rhythms that bring you back to places of meaning. They may be emotional cycles, daily rituals, relationships that anchor you, or quiet habits that create comfort. These are not loops of stagnation. They are loops of familiarity, the returning points that help you navigate change. When astronauts view Earth from orbit, they often describe a profound sense of clarity. Not because they suddenly understand everything, but because the planet's motion looks so smooth, so balanced, so intentional. They see continents moving beneath them, clouds drifting in soft spirals, oceans shimmering under sunlight. They witness the path we all share, a path that feels ancient and wise, as if Earth knows exactly what it is doing. And in truth, it does. Having circled the sun billions of times, Earth has found a calm, stable rhythm. It doesn't need to accelerate or slow down. It doesn't need to correct itself dramatically. It simply follows the flow dictated by gravity and time. And this steady journey provides every moment of life with a foundation of reliability. Knowing our path is not about predicting the future. It is about trusting the structure that holds us, the cosmic architecture that has sustained life for eons. Your place in the universe is not random. It is part of a precise, harmonious system that carries you effortlessly through space, night after night, year after year. As you lie here, letting your breath slow, feel the reassuring truth of that. You do not need to push or strain to stay on your path. You're already being carried by forces vast and gentle. The orbit of Earth beneath you will continue steady and quiet, guiding you through time. There is beauty in that certainty. There is peace in knowing your place within the cosmic rhythm. Tonight, as your body settles and your breathing becomes slower, you may notice that your thoughts continue to move, drifting, circling, looping gently in their own quiet patterns. Thoughts are not static things. They have orbits too, shaped by memory, emotion, curiosity, and the soft gravity of what matters to you. Instead of fighting this motion, you can allow it to unfold, just as the universe allows worlds to follow their graceful paths. Imagine your thoughts as small moons drifting through the space of your mind. Some follow tight orbits, returning again and again to familiar places, a memory, a hope, a question. Others arc widely, appearing only now and then, like comets passing through once every so often before disappearing again. Some thoughts glow brightly, others fade softly into the background. All of them move, and they are allowed to move. You do not need to force stillness. You do not need to silence every idea or worry. Just as planets maintain their orbits without strain, your thoughts can drift naturally without disturbing your rest. When a thought returns, imagine it completing another loop, not as something intrusive, but as something natural, expected, part of the rhythm of your inner world. You can observe it without judgment. The way you might watch the moon repeat its cycle, the thought arises, moves through you, then drifts away again. This is not about controlling the mind. It is about recognizing its motion. In the same way that gravity guides worlds, your breath can guide your thoughts tonight. With each inhale, imagine a little more spaciousness opening within you. With each exhale, imagine your thoughts settling into smoother, quieter orbits. Nothing forced, nothing hurried, just gentle alignment. And if a thought feels heavy, like a wandering asteroid pulled off course, you can let your breath become the stabilizing force, a soft gravitational nudge bringing it into a calmer path, not resisting it, not pushing it away, simply letting it find a rhythm that no longer tugs at you. This is the beauty of drifting into sleep. Your mind does not shut down, it transitions. Your thoughts elongate, soften, stretch into dreamlike curves. They lose their sharp edges. They become lighter, easier, quieter. As you continue to rest, imagine all your thoughts forming a gentle system, not chaotic, but harmonious. Each one moving at its own pace, each one following its own orbit, none of them colliding or demanding your full attention. You're the center of this inner universe, calm and steady, guiding everything around you through simple presence. Let your thoughts drift like worlds in space. Let your breath become the gravity that holds them lightly, and allow the motion within you to lead you softly towards sleep. We have travelled far tonight, not in distance, but in understanding. From the quiet paths of planets to the drifting arcs of comets, from the deep silence of interstellar motion to the subtle rhythms that shape human emotions, we have wandered through a universe woven from movement. And now, as this journey begins to settle, you may feel a soft heaviness in your body, a gentle pull toward rest, like gravity guiding you into your own orbit of sleep. There is a special kind of calm that comes after exploring something vast. Your mind stretches, then softens. Your thoughts expand, then settle. You feel both smaller and more connected, a single being resting within the patterns that guide galaxies. This is not loneliness, it is belonging. It is the sense that you occupy a place in the universe's quiet, ancient geometry. Tonight we followed the moon as it drifted patiently around Earth. We circled the sun on its steady path. We rode the sun's orbit around the Milky Way, imagining the long, slow sweep of billions of years. We watched stars bend light, comets stretch across the sky, and space stations glide in smooth arcs above our world. Every motion told a story, every orbit whispered a truth, and now all these layers of emotion begin to blur into something simpler, a gentle rhythm that mirrors your breath. Inhale, a world drifting forward. Exhale, gravity guiding it home. Repeat, the essence of an orbit and the essence of rest. Let your body feel heavy now, as if sinking deeper into the mattress beneath you. Notice how your muscles soften, how your shoulders release, how your jaw loosens, how your eyelids grow heavier with each slow blink. The night supports you. The darkness wraps around you like a calm ocean. You are being held by gravity, by breath, by the softness of this moment. There is nothing left to understand, nothing left to achieve, nothing left to hold on to. You have travelled through a universe of motion, and now you may return to your own stillness. A stillness that exists not because everything stops, but because everything flows so perfectly that you no longer feel the motion at all. As you lie here, imagine the final traces of tonight's journey fading gently into quiet. The stars dim slightly. The cosmic paths soften. The arcs of planets dissolve into darkness. Only the feeling remains, a sense of harmony, of balance, of belonging to something endlessly peaceful. We will close this voyage soon, but for now, simply breathe. Feel yourself drifting toward rest, carried on the same quiet forces that guide the stars. You're almost there. As we reach the end of tonight's journey, imagine the universe around you growing quieter, softer, as if dimming its lights in respect for your rest. The orbits we explored, the patient paths of planets, the drifting loops of moons, the grand arcs of stars and galaxies, now settle into the background, becoming a gentle hum beneath your awareness. Their motion continues, always steady, always faithful, even as your own consciousness begins to drift away. You have followed these cosmic paths with an open mind, letting the patterns of the universe weave themselves into the slow rhythm of your breathing. Now, that rhythm is all you need. Each inhale is a quiet gathering of peace. Each exhale is a release of tension. Your body knows how to rest, just as planets know how to orbit, naturally, gracefully, without effort. Let the images of the night dissolve softly. The moon circling Earth, the Earth circling the sun drifting through the Milky Way, all of it gently fading like ripples disappearing into a still lake. You do not have to hold the cosmos in your thoughts anymore. You can let it drift away, knowing it will continue its motion without needing your attention. Feel yourself settling into your own centre, the way a world settles into its path. Your muscles loosen, your breath deepens. Your thoughts slow down, becoming long and soft, like distant orbits stretching across space. Sleep approaches not as a sudden drop, but as a gentle alignment, your body and mind entering a state of perfect balance. If a lingering thought circles back to you, allow it. Let it follow its orbit until it naturally fades. There is no need to push anything away. In this moment, everything is allowed to move at its own pace. Everything is allowed to soften. Tonight, you are part of a vast harmony, a quiet participant in the cosmic choreography that has shaped the universe since the beginning of time. That harmony surrounds you, supports you, and carries you into rest. You are safe within it. You are held within it. Let your awareness dim like a setting star. Let your body sink slightly deeper into stillness. Let your breath guide you the rest of the way. And when you are ready, let go. Let yourself drift into sleep as gently as a moon drifting through its orbit, effortlessly following the curve of calm. Now rest, sink, drift, sleep. Everything flows. Sleep in that motion.